Some stories are whispered on the wind. They travel across vast oceans, carried on salt spray and moonlight. This is one of those tales. It's a story about a place so remote, it's almost a myth. And on that myth, a man found himself in a position few could ever imagine. He was the last man standing. Was this a paradise granted by fate? A sun-drenched haven where he was king? Or was it a cage? A gilded prison built of jealousy, memory, and the crushing weight of being utterly alone in a crowd. To find Pitcairn Island, you must first know where to look, and even then, it is difficult to find. It is a tiny volcanic outpost, a mere 2 square miles of earth, adrift in the vastness of the South Pacific Ocean. Jagged volcanic cliffs rise dramatically from the turquoise water, their dark rock covered in a blanket of lush tropical green. Breadfruit trees, mangoes, and bananas grow in abundance, a testament to the fertile soil. From a distance it looks like a dream, an untouched paradise that time forgot. But this beauty is deceptive. The cliffs are treacherous, the weather can be violent, and the ocean that surrounds it is both a source of life and an impassable barrier. The story of Pitcairn begins not with peace but with rebellion. It starts in 1789 aboard HMS Bounty. Her mission was to transport breadfruit from Tahiti, but beneath the calm surface of the Pacific, tensions were simmering. Its captain, William Bligh, was a brilliant navigator but a harsh, unforgiving leader. His sharp tongue and public accusations of theft fostered a deep resentment that pushed the crew to its breaking point. Led by the charismatic acting lieutenant Fletcher Christian, a group of sailors rose up. After months enjoying the freedoms of Tahiti, the return to Bligh's iron-fisted rule had become unbearable. They cast Captain Bligh and his loyalists adrift in a small open boat, a near-certain death sentence. The mutineers had crossed a line from which there was no return, turning the Bounty towards an unknown future. They sailed back to Tahiti, where they were joined by Polynesian men and women. While some came willingly, drawn by love or adventure, others were coerced, their fates now irrevocably tied to the fugitives. As fugitives from the Royal Navy, they needed a perfect hiding place. After months of searching, they found it, Pitcairn. A tiny, uninhabited island incorrectly marked on British naval charts, a ghost on the map. To ensure they could never leave, they ran the HMS Bounty aground in what is now called Bounty Bay and set it ablaze. As the flames consumed the ship, their last link to the old world was severed. The dream of a peaceful settlement on Pitcairn shattered almost as soon as it began. Cut off from the world with no laws to govern them, the tiny community was a powder keg. The paradise they had found, a remote haven from the Royal Navy, soon revealed its hellish underbelly. The 9 English mutineers established a society built on a fatally flawed foundation, creating a rigid hierarchy with themselves as masters. The island's fertile land was carved up exclusively among them. The 6 Polynesian men who had accompanied them were treated as slaves, while the women were distributed among the Englishmen, treated not as partners, but as property. This gross injustice bred deep resentment that festered in the island's isolation. The years that followed were soaked in blood and betrayal, as tensions finally erupted into open, murderous violence. Within a few short years, the island was a battlefield. The Polynesian men rose up, but were ultimately killed. Then the mutineers turned on each other, driven by alcohol and jealousy. One by one, the men were killed off in a vicious cycle of revenge. By the year 1800, a decade after their arrival, a shocking reality emerged from the carnage. Of the 15 men who had landed on Pitcairn, only one remained alive: John Adams. He was left the sole patriarch of a community forged in violence, surrounded by 9 Polynesian women and the 19 children born on the island. The future of Pitcairn rested on his shoulders. For generations, the community on Pitcairn grew in near total isolation. The outside world was little more than a rumor, a story passed down from John Adams. Their existence was a secret kept by the vast Pacific. The arrival of the first outside ship in 1808, an American sealing vessel called the Topaz, shattered their seclusion. Its arrival is a major event, a festival of connection to a world that feels a million miles away. With a population that rarely exceeded 200 people, everyone was related by blood or marriage. This created a powerful sense of family and community. However, it also meant that personal conflicts could become community-wide problems. There was no escape from disagreements, no anonymity. For much of the 20th century, Pitcairn Island was romanticized by the outside world. It was seen as a quaint curiosity, a real-life adventure story. This carefully constructed image, however, concealed a much darker and more disturbing reality. In the shadows of the breadfruit trees, far from the eyes of the world, a pattern of abuse had become deeply ingrained in the community. The abuse of young girls was not just an occasional transgression. For many, it was a horrifyingly normal part of growing up on the island. It was an open secret, something that was known but never spoken of, protected by a powerful code of silence. Speaking up meant risking ostracism, disbelief, and further harm in a place where there was nowhere else to go. The silence was as vast and as oppressive as the ocean that surrounded them. The legal proceedings that began in the early 2000s tore the Pitcairn community apart. A significant portion of the island's adult male population, including the mayor, was charged with historical sexual offenses against children. A temporary courthouse and jail had to be built on the island. The trials were a logistical and emotional nightmare. The island was transformed into a bizarre legal battleground, its secrets laid bare for the entire world to see. The prosecution presented harrowing testimony from multiple women, detailing years of abuse. The verdict was a resounding condemnation. Several men were found guilty and sentenced to prison on the island. The aftermath was devastating. The community was fractured, consumed by bitterness, denial, and shame. The population, already dwindling, shrank even further. Let us reflect on this extraordinary circumstance. To be the only man, not on a deserted island, but on an inhabited one like Pitcairn, a solitary atom in a remote Eden, the last of your kind. In a world of women, who could you talk to about the simple experience of being a man? The camaraderie, the shared understanding would be gone forever. You'd become a cultural island within an island, your perspective entirely your own and entirely alone. The attention would curdle into scrutiny. Every action, every word, every glance would be observed and interpreted by a dozen different minds. Your every move becomes public record, a piece of community lore. There is no anonymity, no moment of unobserved peace. The pressure to be everything to everyone, a father figure, a brother, a friend, a potential partner, would be immense. You'd also be a laborer, a protector, and the sole genetic key to the island's future. The weight of continuing an entire lineage would rest squarely on your shoulders, an impossible burden to fulfill. Ultimately, to be the only man on Pitcairn would be to live in a state of profound isolation, not despite the people around you, but because of them. You are the center of their world, yet can never truly be a part of it. The paradise would reveal its true nature as a cage, beautifully decorated with swaying palms and turquoise waters, but a cage nonetheless. It echoes the fate of the original mutineers who sought freedom here only to find themselves trapped. The price of being the one is to be forever alone. The story of Pitcairn Island is a lesson written on a remote canvas of rock and sea. The lone man, standing on that volcanic rock surrounded by women and the echoes of history, is a powerful metaphor for the island's own struggle. It is a testament to survival in the loneliest kingdom on earth.